Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter. I am Ryan Woolley, joined by my co-host David Scholler, as per usual. Uncle,
UVA.
you to talk about the Virginia Duke game that you were at before we get into everything else topic related. I'm sure we'll talk about it in the college basketball segment of this show, but just talk about the environment and
Oh, the environment down at JPJ is always great. It's just fun. I like to walk through the woods to the arena. That's my favorite part.
yeah, Gordon
Uh,
showed us. I almost thought I was like, it just seems so interesting going through the woods, but then you're right there. You're right in front of the arena, so kind of cool.
yeah, I just really like that. I appreciate that kind of stuff. The arena is great. I walked around the whole arena again. The giant V with the orange and the blue in front of the basketball office is priceless. The architecture is spotless. It's the same thing with the baseball stadium, the football stadium, and lacrosse.
Yeah,
You can tell it's an architecture school. It's like Thomas Jefferson came back himself and built these. But the arena is like perfect pit. You like the food right behind you. It's awesome.
it's
You
so
know, it's
simple. It's like not confused. Some stadiums and arenas are confusing. It's not at all. It's just laid
it's
out so
great.
so
And
nice.
the football's the same way. It's amazing. You got to come down for a football game with us next year. It's awesome.
Yep.
I just love it there so much. But the sad thing is, UVA plays a pretty good game, and you really lose by about 20. If Nuke really wanted to, they could have made it worse. And
Yeah.
UVA played pretty
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, they did. Duke is just a superior team. Yep.
Yeah, if you played pickup, Duke would win by 40. But yeah, UVA did a good job. Just a bit, some good moments for them. But Duke is like when Evans is hitting, Duke will not lose
Right.
because Knipple I think is the best set shooter in the country when he has his feet set. I'm not saying he's the best shooter, but when his feet are set, I think he is. And Evans, when he's hitting, I mean, he's the reason they beat Auburn. Let's be honest.
Yeah, so Duke is a tough out when you have the role players because you expect Cooper Flag to show up, and when and Knippel's hitting, then I think they're really going to be a tough out. So it comes down to, like you said, it's going to be a neutral site, and when
Yeah,
they
it's
play an
tough.
older team, that's the challenge that Duke is going to have to meet. Otherwise, I will say about this Duke team, they are excellent about just taking care of business and beating the teams that they're supposed to beat. I'm going to get into our first topic here. Kevin Durant just reached the 30,000 point club, and it's obviously an incredible achievement. There's only seven guys that have done that: LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Karl Malone, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Dirk Nowitzki, and Wilt Chamberlain. So Kevin Durant now
Sure.
joins those men as the eighth man of the 30,000 point club. And Colin Cowherd on his show said that Kevin Durant, that he derailed his career essentially and tanked it by leaving the Warriors.
Became the eighth player to score 30,000 points. And I think it's interesting. It's a milestone on an irrelevant team in a loss. And that sort of sums up his career. But what's amazing is that everybody loves to bang on coaches in the NBA and general managers. That guy for Dallas is getting crushed. But I said it at the time, and I was shocked at the lack of agreement within NBA media. Kevin Durant tanked his own career. He really did. He was, at the time when he was in Golden State, Kevin Durant there were a half the people covering the league said he was better than LeBron. He was beating LeBron. He was a better offensive player. He made Steph look small. He was MVP of finals. The league thought it was twice. The league thought it was unfair.
And what do you think of that quote and Kevin Durant obviously being an accomplished player, being part of this illustrious group now?
I know Colin Cowherd gets paid to get clicks. I've never been a big fan. I mean, once in a while he has a decent idea, but even a broken clock is right twice a day. And even a blind squirrel gets a nut. So that's how I feel about Colin Cowherd. But that's a stupid quote. He wasn't happy in Golden State because Draymond's a jackass. We all know Draymond's a jackass,
Yeah. And he
and
didn't
we
get
know
along
that
with Steve
Kevin.
Kerr. Right.
Yeah, and we know that Kevin Durant is sensitive. Now, I wish Kevin Durant wasn't that sensitive, but that's who he is. He's also the same guy that could have maybe went to the Wizards where his home is, and he didn't want to do that. He's just a sensitive guy. Like I always
Yep.
tell you, if I could put him with four alphas and just let him be himself, I put him in my top five all time starting
Right.
lineup. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean he's the best five player of all time, but I would tell you that if I could just have him just play basketball and not do anything else, I'll stick him out there because he ain't going to miss a shot. And my other four guys are going to demand a double team. So it's going to be over.
Right.
So I put Magic, Mike, and Bird out there. Well, you got to leave somebody open, and I put like Akeem in the post or Kareem. It's all
You're
over.
done.
The
Yeah.
game's
Right.
over.
Right.
So what are you doing? The game's over. So You know, I think it's a bad quote. I understand where he's coming from. He's saying he should have stuck it out, but that's a stupid quote for one set respect that you got to know who you're talking about.
Right.
If you're talking about Bird, yeah, Bird wouldn't give a shit. He'd stay
Right.
and win.
Right.
But this is Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant's been sensitive his whole life. It's okay. He's
Yep.
allowed to be sensitive,
Yep.
but it's a great achievement. Again, NBA is the league with the most hollow numbers of all time, but these aren't one of those. This is he's a great player. He's got the best pull-up jump shot I've ever seen, and like I said, I watch as much basketball as any human being ever has, and you know what? He's got the best pull-up I've ever seen. And as a matter of fact, we even call our warm-ups KD drill where we just shoot pull-ups.
Yep.
It's he hasn't derailed his career. I totally disagree.
Yeah, and you got to remember he got drafted in '07, which it still was a rough and tumble type of league then. So he's seen it from both sides, Kevin Durant. And obviously
Tarantula.
he's been just successful and steady. You look at his points per game for obviously to reach 30,000 points. He's just in
Yeah.
the mid to upper 20s every year. He's just the epitome of consistency, and he can score from all three levels. And he's just been really focused and a dedicated player as from
He's
what.
he's a top five scorer of all time, and I'm not
Yeah.
going by total points because that just means you hung around. If you look at his points per game average, he's probably top five all time easily. I mean, he's a top five scorer that I've ever seen. I never got to see Wilt, so I can't comment on him. But Kareem was just a consistent 25, 23, 24 every night, and that's when the big guys aren't getting the ball all the time. Mike was Mike. I mean, he had a year where he averaged 37. Obviously, Wilt had a year where he averaged 50. So obviously, if you have a night where you score 40, it's a bad night. That means you're a scorer. Obviously, he's a great scorer. Dirk was a great scorer. Karl Malone could just score, but Karl Malone, it wasn't as easy for him to score. Dirk is just, he can get his own shot. Call, you throw it to him in the post and pick and roll, running the floor. Dirk, it's just, it looks easy. Dirk, it looked easy for. KD, I always say, is Dirk with a handle. So, I just think like KD is definitely one of the best five scorers I've ever seen.
I think you could argue also he's maybe the best scorer ever just because he's an excellent three-point shooter. He can pull up, he can go to the rack. I mean, you could honestly say he's maybe the most talented scorer ever. Whether he
Sure,
finishes with the
sure,
most points or not, we'll see. But you
sure.
certainly can make that argument. And then also to kind of piggyback off your other, if you had a top five, he would definitely be, the five man. You could blend him in there. He
Sure.
uh he's also someone that like you said, he's never demanded like the limelight or the spotlight. He's always been
Right.
kind of cool with blending into the background. So from that standpoint, you don't have to worry about him being that much of a pain in the ass. So that's also another thing to factor in that with all this. And he's maybe a top five talent overall, offensively and defensively.
Sure.
Just a
Yeah.
freak from
Yeah.
that.
His weak side shot blocking and 7 boards a game are underrated.
Yep. And I think also this quote, you have to also, I think, factor in too that Kevin Durant, yes, he came to the Warriors and he won two championships, but you have to remember though that he was hearing the rumblings and the murmurs though of, you joined the Warriors and that's why you won
Right.
a championship. So he kind of accomplished what he knew he had to do, which was just be able to say, all right, I'm a champion. But he had to know going there, him joining the Warriors after they won a championship, and then the next year were 73-9. And let's be honest, if Draymond doesn't kick do the Rocket and kick Steven Adams in the balls there, finals there. If he doesn't kick Mozgov in the balls, they probably win that series, I think,
Yeah, they
honestly.
definitely do.
Warriors.
So he's not suspended for game five. It's over. It's the only
Exactly.
time in history that a player is suspended during the NBA finals. So the league wanted LeBron back in it. So
I think the
they did
Tim
what they had to do.
Donaghy, I think, kind of philosophy there. They said, all right, let's make this interesting. We have a reason maybe to suspend a guy, and let's see if the Cavaliers can get back into this thing. And if you're
Yeah.
a conspiracy theory, I don't even know if that's a conspiracy theory. I think, honestly, that's two and two together, I think, to make four.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
yeah, but I think that also that he didn't derail his career. He wanted to try to see could he win outside of the Warriors organization. That's another
Sure.
reason why he left. On top of the fact that yes, he didn't get along with Draymond and Steve Kerr at that point, and he kind of wore out his welcome. And Colin Coward mentioned he said he made Steph look small. I think that's a totally ridiculous quote. I think right there, everybody knew that was Steph's team. Kevin Durant joined the Warriors. You have to remember that as well.
Right.
So Kevin Durant, I think, also knew that as well. He's like, I'm an outsider, and I came in here, and yeah, we won two championships, but
Right.
people,
Steph's team.
he could have won another three in a row. I don't think it would have moved the needle at all. I think he has to now prove this is the one challenge I think left in his career. Can he win a championship outside of being on the Warriors, buddy? So I respect that he moved on to try to do that because I think that's important. I think if you want to talk about, it's a cliche legacy and your what that means and everything. But I think for him, he definitely wants to be able to say at the end of his career, hey, I won two championships with the Warriors and I helped them do that. But And you could argue he was the best player on that team because he is just so damn talented. But he's trying to prove to himself he can do it outside of that situation. So I think that's another reason why it's kind of a quote that I think is not accurate or untrue. And then Uncle Dave, we're going to transition now to Rick Pitino. Basically, I will say this: I think every great coach, I think, is a philosopher and is someone who knows psychology because a lot of these videos here of Rick Pitino, I think, is just illustrating.
Do I like losing now? No. But every aspect of coaching I enjoy. I have a smile on my face all the time now.
You killed the fucking play. You killed the play.
Where's your toughness? Where have you guys been raised that you're so weak mentally that you just give up when something doesn't go right for you? Don't you know what adversity is all about? That's the game of life. You're a basketball player. Dig in. Every time you miss a shot, your game deflates. We don't care about your missed shots. Play defense. You guys keep blowing opportunity upon opportunity upon opportunity. You're like children with bad things happening. Instead of digging in and be tougher, you wilt. Where is your toughness? Where have you guys been raised that you're so weak mentally that you just give up when something doesn't go right for you? Don't you know what adversity is all about? That's the game of life, not the game of basketball. You don't get down when things go wrong. You dig in and get tougher. Your whole life's going to be adversity. Learn how to deal with it.
Patino, Red Storm Rising, Tuesdays at 10.
That. Now, obviously, in a very colorful way, language-wise, but
That's
obviously,
nothing.
for someone
That's
like
nothing.
you, I was going to say, this is like very tame. This is behind closed doors. 30 years ago, it was probably X-rated compared to what you're seeing, what you just saw on the screen here.
Sure. I mean, it's just language, but it's all brutal honesty. And today, unfortunately, you have to coach effort, and yet you're not allowed to get after them. So it's like never shall the twains meet. The bottom line is kids are softer today than ever, give less effort than ever, are more distracted than ever, and yet you're not allowed to get after them. So how the hell are we supposed to accomplish this? That's why I was going to say tonight, another topic I want to talk about. I never seen so many blowouts in the last 2 nights, and teams have given up. You never saw this. This is
Right.
February now.
Right.
There's big games on the line here. Teams are getting blown. This
Yeah.
is not something that we see every year.
Right.
And again, it's the I don't care. I'm already thinking about the portal crap. But yeah, Rick. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with what he said. Then again, I still don't see anything wrong with Bob Knight's halftime speech that everybody makes so famous either. When you're not playing well, if you're going to pay me to give me a full scholarship to play in front of 20,000 people, I'll take whatever you got to say to me, as long as I get to play.
Right. Yep. I think
But
that
that's just me. I value it.
I think that you have to people in today's times that are ultra sensitive, you have to understand that this is for young men, this is a great motivator to be able to challenge them like
It's not about the game either. It's about life
Yeah.
because he says the same stuff everybody says. He said, basically says, where the hell's your pride? Who the hell raised you? That's a
Right.
fair question.
It is a fair
Like, where the hell's your
Right.
work ethic? And then another thing about the jump shot, he's 100% right. Kid misses a shot today. They put their hands to their head. Yeah, like you never missed a fucking shot. Don't act like, you missing a shot's a fucking surprise.
Right.
This is something that AAU groomed about 5 to 6 years ago when I noticed it. Kids missing a shot in AFU and like to look like they're fucking good, put their hands on their head. Like, dude, have it running back on defense, jackass. That's what Rick said. Same thing.
Yeah.
But
Even if
we
you
all glamorize these guys, but yet we don't want to be coached by them.
Yeah, it's so true. The missed shots quote. Even if you are the best shooter ever, it's still a coin flip whether the ball's going to go in or not for you.
Yeah, if
And
you're the best shooter ever, it's okay. You're near the basket 60%. If you're anybody else, it's 50%. It's going to miss.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
if you're the best ever.
I tell people, I'm like, look, Steph Curry for his career 3-point wise, he's a 42% shooter. So it's less than a coin flip when he puts the ball up from beyond the
Right.
arc.
Kobe Bryant, 42 for his career from everywhere.
Right.
Kobe's one of the best players of all time. If he can miss and run back and play defense, you can.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. I think that
But again, this is what we talk about all the time, though. It's a look at me world, and you're
It's
trying to
so true.
preach a team game.
right.
So everything's about the individual today and how it looks. And mom's filming a 7th grade game, and dad's filming an 8th grade AU tournament at Old Westbury, what not a fucking soul in America gives a shit about. And you're filming this shit. Like, what are you sending that to Duke? I mean, like, what the hell are you doing?
Right.
Or, oh, I know I'm keeping it for my old days. No, you're not. You think that this kid's a big time player.
Right.
And that's why I love that Rick Pitino quote today. I've been saying this for years. They're not recruiting high school seniors anymore. They're just not.
Yeah, let's get into that with Rick Pitino. He talked about now that basically he said his St. John's team that he's not going to be looking at high school kids because they're not going to be
Yeah,
able to help the program now because he
yeah,
talked about on the last show now with the NIL, guys are going to stay longer now and you're going to
yeah.
have maybe some older teams now so that it's going to make it a difficult situation for a high school kid who's 18, just turned 18, unless you're Cooper Flagg, who's just ridiculous, playing against guys who are 23, maybe 24.
Yeah. I mean, why am I, why am I, worried about that kind of crap? I mean, like, you're not going to do that. You're not going to worry about it. You're just going to go out there and you're going to say, I got to find a man.
Right.
Or you got to 22 or 21-year-old. Like, am I going to wait for an 18-year-old to get in there? Well, not if I have a. Hey, look, guys are getting 5-year contracts today, and after 2 years, they're getting thrown out. So you know what? They created this crap, and now this is what you get. You created this monster, and this is what you get now. So like you created this crap where, hey, you got to win right away. So you know what? You want to play that way, then we play that way.
Right.
So now we got to win right away, or else somebody complains about me. Can you imagine people complaining about the Rutgers coaching staff after the job they've done, entering the Big Ten with Rutgers and still being able to pull this off?
Yeah,
Can you imagine? But
to even be competitive regardless of win loss, if you're able to be in the games,
yeah,
even that's an accomplishment right there. It's
yeah,
totally
you're Rutgers. You're not Michigan for Christ's sake. You're not Purdue. Those teams have been winning games in the Big Ten for 50 years.
right. Yeah, those are
You're
solidified
Rutgers.
programs. I know exactly. Yeah, but again, like you said, the alumni are thinking on a road trip they're supposed to be beating those teams.
Yeah, I should beat Duke and Carolina on the road trip. Yeah, sure.
But for Rutgers, though, beating Purdue and that's equivalent to them for Carolina and Duke. For
Look
another.
at the job they've done there, and yet people are like, well, they got these two guys who are worth $1 million. I don't know. I watched Hopper. I mean, I'm sure he's very talented, but I'm not seeing anything great.
People forget though, it's one ball out there. It's a team game. It's 5-on-5. So
Yep.
even if you might have
Yeah,
really one or two talented guys, you still have other.
ask the Lakers.
Yeah, you have all the very other variables on the floor too.
Ask LeBron and Luca how that's working out so far. They lost to the damn Jazz and they lost to the
The
Hornets, who
Hornets,
suck.
yeah, that's going to be a disaster. We saw. I think we're not surprised that that's happening. But getting just back to this Rick Pitino, these quotes here from him and everything. You can't. This cannot leave the game, regardless of what happens with the name, image, and likeness, and guys getting paid or not. You still need this element in collegiate sports, professional sports, even as well. You have to have coaches that are able to have some authority and direction over the players and their change their mood if they're dragging ass. You have to have this type of
Sure,
element in the game. So I think
sure.
that being able to see this type of thing still is incredible. And that Vice, I'm glad they were able to give us an inside look and see that Rick Pitino is still largely Rick Pitino. I think behind closed doors, you wonder how much of these old time coaches are they still themselves. And
Yeah, they allowed.
obviously, you could still see he's still largely there. And his son illustrated that also by saying that he's, very much wired the same way as he was, in the 90s. So,
Yeah, are they allowed to be? Are they allowed to be coaches?
yep. And I think I think we've mentioned it too. You can't allow in previous shows, you can't allow that the coaches have to be the face of the program. You can't have a player be bigger than when Coach K was coaching.
No, because they leave. They leave after a
Exactly.
year
You
now.
can't, Tom Izzo is the face of Michigan State basketball. You can't have a player dictating what's going on. Bob Knight, Indiana. The coach has to be the face of the program, and what they say has to obviously carry a ton of weight. You can't have it being that they're
Yeah,
undermined by these players, even with the name image.
absolutely,
So I'm glad
absolutely.
we got this inside look for St. John's and Rick Pitino obviously doing an excellent job. So
Sure.
we're we're thrilled about that because obviously as college basketball junkies, me and you agree when St. John's is good, it's better for college basketball. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, we also agree that Rick Pitino's the top 5 to 10
Oh,
coach of all time.
absolutely. It's good stuff. I can't wait I have to watch the show now on it's
I watched part of it the other night. I was down in, after the Virginia game. I was having trouble falling asleep, so it was on one of these channels for part of it, and it was great. But you know what? It's stuff that as a coach I've been living with my whole life. But I know the world doesn't see it that way. So they think this is like something crazy, but this is what you know and been doing your whole life.
And then Uncle Dave, we'll finish with our NBA stuff here. One more topic here. Victor Wembanyama, he's expected to miss the rest of the season due to a blood clot. Now, obviously,
It's dangerous. Yeah, you
that's a
feel bad. The
really,
Chris Bosh
oh God,
situation.
I know that's the first thing that came to my mind. So obviously, the Spurs, their future and their heart is in their throat right now because you wonder
Right.
if this is something that could derail. Obviously, and it's sad with Wembanyama here because you don't know exactly. Chris Bosh, at least, he won some championships and his career did get cut short, but a large part
Oh,
of
I did, yeah. I love
already,
Chris Bosh, one of my
yeah,
favorite players.
he could have easily played, I think, another 4 years, really at a
Yep,
good
he's a
level.
Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame player, but I don't know if he'll get in.
Yeah, just because it's just cut a little too short now. It's like a Terrell Davison football situation there with Chris Bosh. But obviously, Victor Wembanyama, it's the Warrior. I mean, not the Warriors. The Spurs playoff chances now. Those are totally tanked now. They're the 12th seed right now, 23 and
Sure,
29 with him. So obviously, with him not being there,
sure,
that's going to derail that. And it was we're anticipating obviously him and Fox being able to gel and Vassell being a really good player and Chris Paul was kind of an interesting nucleus that you wanted to see have a chance. So hopefully
sure,
next year he'll be back in there. But I just thought we just broke today that we would say it on the show that Victor Wembanyama out for the rest of the regular season
sure.
now due to blood clots. And like you said, it's obviously
Absolutely.
it's a
Sad.
life.
We wish him well because I hate to see that.
Like you said, for someone who's watched as much basketball as you have, you said he's a unique freak, this kid.
Yeah, well, he defensively. I think the hardest thing, I think if you learn how to play with him defensively, he could be like a one man zone, which is
Exactly,
kind of
right.
scary
You could
sometimes.
you could do some really unique stuff with him defensively just because of that reason alone. And he's not a 7'4"
Yeah. What would
plotter.
you?
He's a guy who can cover space.
What would happen if you put him at the top of a 3-2 zone and extended it higher? What
Right.
would
Be
happen?
able to, be able to put his
You
arms
throwing the
out.
ball in the high post? You're not throwing the ball in the high post. The high post is covered.
No, it's so true.
His arms are too long.
No, it's so true.
I mean, what would you do? Like, I never forget. I know this is stupid, but when I used to play 2K, I used to take the NBA West, the computer game, and I put Dirk Nowitzki up top, Garnett up top. I take the NBA West, and I put Garnett up top, Dirk on the wings. I play
And
so,
Yao, right. It doesn't
yeah,
matter if
and
you have
like
two
and have
midgets
Garnett
behind them. Right.
and have like Garnett extend.
Yeah. That's fun to play around with there. Might be onto something there.
Oh, I'll tell you, that's why I always like Rick Carlisle. He's not afraid to experiment.
Yeah, and do some unique stuff. Yeah. All right, Uncle Dave, let's get into our college hoop here. So since we talked, I think it was last Sunday. What were some games that you saw that really stood out to you? And what is I know you talked about the blowouts that are happening in the last couple nights. You see, let's
I just can't believe the blowouts.
yeah.
This is middle of February, end of February. We're down to
Uncle
like
Dave,
four conference games.
how about BYU and Kansas, Uncle Dave? How about that one?
Holy crap! Is Kansas alive? Now listen, I did a little research. I did a little research here, and I hear that it's a Hunter Dickinson problem. I hear that he's not getting along with his teammate. That doesn't mean it's true, but this is what you hear when you do a little digging.
Uncle Dave,
And you
91
said,
to 57,
I
Kansas?
know, I know, I
That
know.
might be the
We
worst
told
loss in program
we
history.
told you we thought they were bored, but they're
Oh
asleep.
God, no! There's something. It's not bored. After the last loss to the last game they had out. Who was their last loss to? Uh, was it
It
not
wasn't
Kansas?
somebody. Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's just something wrong there.
Yeah, it was. It's something very obviously very wrong. You're losing when you're Kansas and you're losing by 30 to BYU. There's obviously there's some
Well,
internal
the funny
conflict
thing,
and problems there.
like last night, I'm sitting there with your aunt, and I'm like, every game's a blowout, so I had to get out of them.
Yeah,
So, but first, let's just wrap up Tuesday. Florida beats the crap out of Oklahoma, and Oklahoma, as I like to keep saying over and over, was 13-0,
yeah.
and now they're 16-10. They're done. Houston beat Arizona State handily. Houston's the real deal. Mississippi State, impressive win over Buzz Williams, handily 15. TCU beats Texas Tech. So Texas Tech was top 10, and they're going to take a little bit of a back seat there. Wisconsin smacked Illinois, and Purdue's in a little bit of a funk right now. Michigan State beat them, but Michigan State's very good. Marquette beat the crap out of DePaul, and BYU beats Kansas by 34. So
I
now
know.
Kansas is 8-7 in the Big 12. Villanova blows the game to UConn. They're done. I mean, they just blew that damn game. Pittsburgh pulls away from Syracuse late. Just there was some fun games out there. Xavier continues their rise at 9-7. They're trying to play their way in here. BC beats Virginia Tech in the lowest scoring game in the ACC for the year. Just some crazy stuff.
I will
And then
say
obviously,
Monday night
last night was like blowout city.
after the Duke Virginia game, Baylor Arizona was a nice game Monday night. That was a fun game.
Baylor, I tell you, Arizona can't close the game. Arizona has trouble closing games. I don't know
They
what the
had
hell's going on
Baylor
there. But
Baylor had a
Auburn
late
beat
run.
Arkansas. If they're 4-9, you're done. They did. But Arkansas 4-9. I don't want to hear about the bubble. Ohio State tonight lost at home to Northwestern by 25 about. I don't want to hear about the bubble anymore. Ohio State sucks. You're done. You're getting blown out in your own building with the season on the line. Get the hell out of here. Arkansas 4-9. Get out. Alabama gets beaten by Missouri 110-98. That's what I keep telling everybody. It is hard to run up and down and shoot threes and win 6 games in a row. Nate Oates is a great coach, but is he great when he's only got better talent? Love Nate Oates, but you can't do math and decide that that's how you win basketball games. It never works. I'm sorry, it doesn't work. Rick Patino takes apart DePaul. You can see DePaul's getting better, but still a mile away. Kentucky with a good win last night. Another blowout. It's blowout city last night. It's crazy. Penn State beats the crap out of Nebraska when Nebraska's trying to stay on the bubble. They got waxed at Penn State by 15. They're just like hurt themselves big time. SMU did a great job on the road at Notre Dame. NC State quit in that game last night at Carolina, and Carolina's not even that good.
Carolina blew them out.
That was awful. Georgetown beat the hell out of Providence, which is surprising because Providence still had a shot. But they're playing themselves out now. It's Oregon beat Iowa. Iowa's playing everybody tough. But Fran McCaffrey, it looks like they're going to push him out, which all he's ever done is win games. But hey, all of a sudden they don't have that kind of player. Rutgers did beat Washington last night in overtime. Great win for Rutgers. They're trying to hang in there, but 6-10 in the Big Ten is probably not going to cut it. And then tonight, like I said, tonight we get Ohio State getting blown out by Northwestern at home, and you say you're on the bubble? No, you're not. You're done. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want to hear Joel Lunardi talking about Ohio State. I mean, you're awful. Right now, Maryland's beating USC by 10.
They're 29
Maryland is
over
really
Ohio
hot.
State in the power index right now. 29.
Yeah, get the hell out of here. You got the shit kicked out of you at home. I'm sorry. You have to win some games. You can't just go around losing games. Go, I'm in a great conference. Sorry. You lost again in your home floor of Northwestern, who's had nothing but close loss after close loss.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's a bad loss, and you need to be held accountable. So, and here's my other thing. If we're going to count November and December so highly, how come we don't count this one tonight?
Yes, true.
If we're going to count November and December so much, then why is it Duke ranked higher than Auburn? They beat them. So I don't care that they're not, but I think Auburn probably is a little bit better. But just want some consistency. I want fairness in the situation.
Yes.
And the other thing that you got to look at, I don't see a lot of smaller leagues getting 2 bids here. Like if you look at these leagues right here, like there's no way the Atlantic Sun, which traditionally has gotten, maybe 1 or 2 bids, is going to get another bid. Because the way they're talking about the SEC, you'd think this is the second coming of Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you don't want it. Yeah,
so
it's annoying.
You're not going to get a second bid out of the Atlantic Sun, who's got some good teams. Obviously, the America East only gets 1 bid. Obviously, you know that. American Athletic Conference, which has traditionally gotten maybe 2, maybe 3. I don't know. Is North Texas or UAB going to get in after Memphis? I mean,
yes.
I'll tell you what. We're setting ourselves up for the old days where small conferences got hosed. And this is going to be the same thing.
I'd rather put them in though, Uncle Dave. They're both 10-3. They've proven that. I know it's a smaller conference, but these are good, successful.
Let's look. But look at the Atlantic 10. VCU going to get in? VCU's 21-5. They're second place. Are they going to get in?
11-2. They better. That's how I view it.
They better get in.
Yeah.
Clemson, Wake Forest, SMU better get in. That's 5 teams. The ACC, Carolina. I don't know how you could say Carolina's in the bubble. They're 16-11.
Now here's the thing, Uncle Dave. I'd rather have a VCU or North Texas than a UNC, no question about it. And I know that UNC's got the brand, but you're not a good team this year, though.
And if you're going to put these damn teams in with these at-large bids and these power conferences, they need to be in that out-bracket game on Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. They don't deserve it. Too bad. You had your shot. You had all the advantage. You got all the money in the world. You didn't get it done. No offense. Too bad. BYU probably plays themselves in that situation. Baylor's going to get in, so they got 7 teams in the Big 12. Without a doubt, Big East is probably going to get looks like 5 now because Xavier's been hot. But look at the Big Sky, going to get 1. Big South only ever gets 1. That's understandable. The Big 10 obviously is this is a tricky situation. Oregon is a really pretty good team. I've watched them several times.
Right.
But is the Big 10 going to get 8 teams? I mean, probably. Then you got this team like the Big West. I've told you before, Cal Vernon Anteaters are really good, but so is San Diego Titans.
Yes, they are.
UC San Diego is very good. They're 22-4. I mean, both those teams deserve to get in. Look at that body of work, 22-4. And tell me, is anybody going there to play them? It's a big school. No, they're afraid to death.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Obviously, the Coastal only deserves 1. We know that, and so does Conference USA. Used to get multiple teams.
Right.
What are we doing there now? We're gonna Middle Tennessee has had
I
a
mean, Uncle
rich
Dave, the
history.
Liberty Flames are 21-5. I mean, you tell me you would
Yeah,
love to see them in the tournament against the big
exactly.
would absolutely.
It's going to be hard. And then you look at the Horizon League's traditionally gotten 1 and 1.5 teams. Like Cleveland State is going to be good, but they've had some good wins over the Ivy's going to get one. The MAC over the years has had 1.5 teams. Back in '95, they had 2 teams, but Quinnipiac's probably going to get in there. But that's a great league. I mean, it's
Yes.
really good basketball. Mid American, Akron is tough. Miami of Ohio's had a rich history. Miami of Ohio's 19-7. We're just gonna laugh them off the. We're gonna laugh them off the
Uncle
map.
Dave, the Akron Zips 13-0 and 21-5. You know, that's gonna
Exactly. They need to get in if they lose or
absolutely
not.
right.
And that's why you have to watch conference tournament. Who's stealing bits?
Oh, it's true.
Drake is 24-3. Drake should be in the tournament whether they win it or not. Bradley's 21-7.
And
Northern Iowa, who's had a rich history,
we got to talk about this,
19-9.
that people want to take away the automatic bid. I'm like, if you take away the automatic bid, you make the conference tournaments meaningless. Then as far as
exactly, you can't take it away.
No, you have to give it. That's why NC State last year that was absolutely crazy because they were a team that didn't win the tournament. They weren't going to get in the NCAA.
And you never would have had Jim Valvano. All you guys who sit there and like to watch the Jim Valvano thing about the way you only know one side of Jim Valvano there.
That never would have happened, right?
Never would have happened. But this crap with the SEC with 14 teams, I'm sorry. No, right. Vanderbilt's not getting in. Texas is not in. I don't want to hear about Arkansas. I don't want to hear about any of these guys. Get them the hell out of here.
Right.
Missouri's a live dog, though. You can see that they're a team that last night they beat the crap out of them. They beat the crap out of Alabama pretty good. Obviously, the Summit League's getting one team, but there's some crazy stuff going on out there. But college hoop right now, like I said, Maryland's up tomorrow night, big game. Michigan's gonna be a great game. But right now out there in college, I saw a thing today about. Besides, it was kind of related to what Rick Patino talked about with not recruiting seniors, but here on Long Island, I've talked about how it's trickled down to D2 and D3 with this stuff.
Yes.
And I've said it before to you, and I'll say it again. It definitely trickles down because now the D2 kid is waiting for a D1 rule because he thinks he is. Every player thinks they're better than they are for the most part. And then the D3 kid waits for D2. And so they're all looking to move around. And now if I got transfers coming from everywhere, let's take a local situation. When I had my all-county player a couple of years ago, Justin Turner, I told his parents, I said, look, it's going to be hard because right now that was after COVID and people were getting extra years and people are taking men. And we said, we got to send you a place where you're going to get a chance to play. And you had to be brutally honest with people.
So competitive, it's ridiculous because now you have a play, you have a college, you have to now go against a kid now who's had 2 years of college basketball experience under his belt. Now he's transferring to another school, and that kid has an advantage.
He's a man,
no question. Exactly, he's a man now at this point. He ain't a kid. He's a man kid.
yeah, and plus you're coming in as a freshman. You're coming to take his spot. He's not stupid.
Right.
So and their body's just different. So when they go to drive you, they hit you in the chest. You move.
Right.
So I mean, you just try to explain this to people, but and
they don't get it.
His parents were smart, so I was lucky. But it's you really tell them, look, if someone's calling you all the time, you're going to play there.
Right.
If you're a throw-in guy, like the bottom of the trade barrel, where someone goes, yeah, the Anthony Davis trade, we threw him in too. Like that, you're not playing. So a Carnegie Mellon can look at you, but you want to be stranded in Pittsburgh, not playing over intercession in 20 below weather?
No, definitely
not. We can arrange,
to me. Right.
We can arrange that if you want. But I don't think you want to be doing that. I think that sucks. I don't think you want to be doing that shit.
Nope. You play the game. You play the game to play the game, not wear the jersey. So that's
exactly. So I mean, it's a different situation if you're a person that nobody knows about and you're just trying to walk on. You just want to be a part of it because maybe one day you want to coach. Right. I have guys out there that do that too. Marcelo does a great job at that Western Connecticut. He's been there 4 years, but he doesn't play a lot. But at least he's around basketball every day, and that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the same situation, so I was trying to make this point on Instagram that, about it affects Division III and Division II. And then think about it. I mean,
great point. Yeah, it's a great point.
I mean, so look at Farmingdale. Right? Farmingdale's the best team right now in the Skyline. Skyline is a little bit lower than a mid-level conference in D3, obviously. It's not the SUNYAC or the Jersey State Athletic Conference or the NESCAC or anything like that. But the bottom line is Farmingdale needs a man to stay on top. They're not waiting for the 18-year-old to come in who's maybe $150 and hasn't lifted a weight in his life. So the only time he lifted a weight was when he was doing 40s with his friends in the woods. I mean, that doesn't count as a weight. So, the situation is that these guys don't understand that. So like, it affects everybody at every level. And that's where Long Island really gets crushed by this. And that's why I was saying it. A couple of people from Long Island have commented on my Instagram and they understand it.
Yep.
It's really hurt Suffolk County kids because we're not, despite what some of these basketball websites have who are trying to like get kids to pay them and tell us how wonderful Long Island basketball is, it's not.
Yeah.
It's become primarily lacrosse and baseball towns, and it's we still got some basketball towns, but at the same time, to say it's wonderful, the recruiting for here is really hurt by this kind of thing.
Yeah, the waters
And,
are even more difficult to navigate now.
Yeah, because they need men, so it doesn't work out. It just doesn't. But people don't want to hear it. People, it's always the old expression, truth is poetry. People hate poetry. It's it's an old quote, but it's true. But the Rick Patino thing, Rick Patino can't replace Kadari. He got Kadari from Seton Hall. He got Smith from out west.
Well,
There's
that's
no
the thing.
way.
You only could play as a freshman in that type of program unless you're just that talented of a player. You're just a freak. That's the only way that's happening.
Yeah, if you're a guy that's a physical specimen, maybe a kid like Cooper Flagg or a kid like the guys on Rutgers, they're physical specimens. They're strong.
We're talking a 1%er of a 1%er, though. That's what we're talking.
Exactly. Zion Williamson could have done it. Kenny Anderson could have done it back in the day. He's a very talented freshman. He walked into the ACC and was a great point guard. Christian Laettner as a freshman was very good. Alonzo Mourning. People as a freshman were very good. Ball was good. Jason Kidd was good. I mean, we're talking about very few people, John Moran, people like that. But at the same time, like this kills the recruiting and no one wants to hear it.
No, it's an excellent point that's what the NIL plus the COVID, you have those kind of trickle down effects, and this is what you get. You have kids that are 18, 19. It's really gonna hurt them.
Yeah,
like you said,
it's not gonna work.
You got kids that have already been in a college weight room for a program for 2 or 3 years and practice. It's impossible to make up that difference there. Unless
the other thing they understand too is the intensity level.
Yeah.
And today's kid thinks like, well, if I jog up and down the 3-point line, I could spot up and shoot. But you watch them on tape, you're jogging.
Right, exactly. You're not sprinting, and you don't have a guy, bang.
Is that as fast? Is that as fast as you could run? Because if it is, we're in trouble.
Right.
And nobody understands the level of intensity that has to be ramped up. And I finally got my team at the end of the season to understand, like, you have to play harder all the time.
Yeah, there's no
break.
If
you and if you don't do that in practice, then the game is too fast for you.
Right.
So then the thing is, then you're not ready. But then the other problem is the guys who get there, when you get to college, it's another step up.
It is.
So now the effort you gave in high school, is it enough?
No, absolutely. The intensity the intensity of it is just it hits you in the face. It really does. It's
right. It's funny when you have a pyramid. I always draw a pyramid on the board. That's how basketball filters. Like every sport, filters up. The base of the pyramid, the triangle, is wider. As you go up, it gets to a point.
Yeah.
And you run out of room.
Yep.
Well, absolutely. That's how many people people get better. You take your team, you take your AAU team from Long Island, you take them to Jersey City, and all of a sudden your open jump shot is not as open as it was.
Exactly. You get rushed and you get sped up, and then all of a sudden it's a whole.
Yeah, the closeout's a half a second better.
Exactly. Right.
It bothers the shooter a half a second worth.
Right. And
so you try.
And basketball is a game like any sport. It's a game of inches. If you're thrown off just by the slightest, now everything's screwed up now.
Sure, because the closeout's a little better. The kid's a little longer. He's a little faster. He's a little more intense. And so you trying to simulate that at Lawrence Avenue Elementary with your AAU team, with predominantly North Shore kids, is not easy when you get down to Philadelphia. I did it a million times. I know all about it. We took our team to the Nationals all those years. We qualified, but you get down there, in the first 10 minutes, you're just having a fucking nightmare because you can't simulate that every day. And then when you get there, you get down like 12-0, and then you play the rest of the day even. You lose by 12.
Right. I remember when you took me to Eastern Invitational. I remember like that being a wake up call to me, like, oh, this is like a whole nother level of basketball.
It's another level.
World. Yeah. It's like, all right,
it's a different world.
I'm a really good player, here on Long Island. But then you get down there and you're like, wow, okay, this is a whole other world.
This is where Long Island gets hurt.
Right.
Because you'll see a good player on Long Island and you'll say, well, in practice, who pushes him? And I don't mean the coach. Like, what other player makes him get better because they're almost as good as him? And Suffolk County, you don't get that.
No, it's true.
So, like, you'll see really talented kids, like at the league we're in this year, League 5. you'll see really talented kids where if you put them in an environment with other talented kids, they'd be better.
Absolutely, because
Uh,
you get challenged and then you get better that way. It's the only
yeah,
way to
because
get
you get
better.
your ass
If
kicked.
you're head and shoulders above, then it's hard for you to get better because where are you
Sure.
playing?
Right. So, and people don't understand that. So
It's like Bobby
it's,
Hurley growing up at in the projects of
yeah,
Jersey. He didn't lack competition or people wanting to
nope.
play. So that was a perfect environment. That's why you get those kids out of those areas to be so great because it's embedded in the culture. And here in Long Island,
Sure.
you get
Sure.
some nice players, but like you said, you never reach your true full potential because you just don't have anyone to challenge you
No.
like that on that level.
No, and that's the scary part. People look at you and you're like, look, I'm trying to be honest with you. I'm not trying to be a bad guy. You gotta be quicker. You gotta work out. You gotta be, it's doesn't mean they're bad kids, but everything is personal. So, you look at it and you say, look, man, it's just the way it is. It's the game is difficult. It's a little faster. It's a little stronger, and it's a lot more skill.
Bob Knight had a
You know,
great quote. All stronger kids need to get faster, and all faster kids need to get stronger. There's always something.
yeah. And then like I always tell the guards, they go, listen, you want to be a good you want to be a perimeter player in college? Holy crap! I mean, big guy's one thing. You're 6'8", you walk. I always tell you, big
You could
guys
be a
got
slug, right? You could be slammed down low, right?
big guys got to prove he can't play. Little guys got to prove he can play. That's every day.
Yeah.
That's not a fantasy. That's not a made up quote. That's a fact.
Yeah, you could take a good high school guard, a good Division III guard will tear his ass up, you know.
Yep, absolutely. So you bring them into the gym and you say, look, so like you say to a kid who wants to play college hoop, you say, look, you're gonna be either a 2 or a 3 because your handle's not good enough. For now, your handle's not good enough for the 2 or the 3. So how you scoring? Now maybe you're a great shooter, but can you get your own shot? Okay. Maybe if you can't, you could there college hoop, you can have specialists. Even in the NBA now, you can have specialists.
Yeah, but can you do it
But
off a staggered screen though, with a guy trailing your ass though?
right, and
Trying
and
to
the
block
bad
your
thing
shot.
is, no matter if you're a specialist or not in hoop, this isn't right field. Now you got to go defend.
Right.
This isn't right field. This isn't soccer where
Yeah, yeah.
this
Ball
isn't
might not
soccer
come
or
to you.
hockey where
Right.
soccer or lacrosse or hockey where the ball goes the other way and you don't have to go down there.
Right. No, not
You
that.
can't go down there in lacrosse or
Basketball,
soccer.
you're involved in every play, offense
You're
and defense.
involved in every play. The
Right.
athletes are
Yep.
just nuts. So the thing is, and they're long. So like you don't want to take away a person's personality and but dream about it, but you got to tell them, look, man, you got to be honest where you are. Like it's and this mentality of transferring with COVID. I even saw it with my senior Justin Turner. I told you because people wanted men because they got the extra year for COVID. We came back in 2022. He averages 24 a game, shoots 55% from two. Who does that in high school? Nobody does.
Especially
45% plus.
a kid that's not head and shoulders above everybody height wise. So
Right. So
sure, nice
he's,
height, but not a 7 footer
exactly.
there.
So here he is, handling a rock and playing great and everything. But the thing is, like, that hurt then. And you even saw it with the two great guard sides at Kings Park. Like, people need older guys, and those are two great players. They play in the men's leagues. I love both their games.
Yep.
It's just amazing how it works. I mean, you got to have this thing with, and Rick Patino is honest, and that's why I put it up there because every parent should read that. Now, most kids aren't going to St. John's anyway, but at the same time, you're going to have to push the kids to junior college, which if they want to play basketball, you're going to have to.
It just makes everything just so much more complicated now with all that. But I think you're absolutely right. I think the writing's on the wall with that. There's no way around it now. It's kind of out there.
Yeah, and you're pushing them to a non-academic situation, and they're not making money doing this in their future.
No, I think a lot of
I
kids
mean,
might just opt not to just do it altogether. They're like, it's just not worth it. I'm not playing in the NBA, so why am I doing this now?
right. So you really have to love it, which could be a good thing. Maybe we'll get rid of the dog and we'll get kids who want to play basketball, but then the level's going to drop off if you're just taking kids who want to play because we all have kids in our teams that love the game, but they're just not good enough players. Sometimes they're drill killers or whatever else it goes, but at least they want to be there. But at the same time, you know, it's a little scary, but I was so happy that Rick Pitino said that, and I'm not that great managing my Instagram, so I made sure I got it up there so everybody could see it because it's such a topic that I've been so much talking about, and like I said, if it gets down to D3, the fact that there's a D3 portal is hysterical to me.
It's scary, right? It really is frightening.
I mean, like what are you thinking as a player? Like, are you going to the league? I mean, like, but I swear to God, half it's that the kids like the verb of saying I'm portaling. Yeah,
Right.
great. I got to fuck.
It's a
Yeah,
verb
great.
now.
Yeah, I'm taking a shit too. What does that mean? Like, you're portaling. I'm taking a shit. I got to go. I'm eating a cupcake. Like, what the fuck does that mean? So,
It gives
like,
you
you can say,
it gives you an inflated sense of purpose. Let's just say
yeah,
that.
I'm like, yeah, you're portaling, great, but are you good enough? It's and just the intensity level and not backing down from competition. Like, and I hate to say it with the guards, you gotta be a freaking killer.
Yeah, you gotta be a dog.
You gotta just be a wild animal who just like you get hand checked, people talking smack, you got the ball in your hands, there's always someone in you.
The intensity level is just so high. Yeah,
Yeah, and on the other end, you got to be in somebody else. That's why the guard's legs go first, not the big guy's legs. The guard's their career burns out first. You're going up and down Achilles, going up and down another guy, Isaiah Thomas, freaking Kobe Bryant. These guys are their Achilles. They're just constantly getting pressured. It's just another world.
yeah, it absolutely is.
And Maryland's just abusing SC right now. They're up 20. Jesus Lord.
So, Uncle Dave, for tomorrow, what games are catching your eye here? This Marquette and Villanova game, I think, will be an interesting one for sure. And
Marquette Villanova tomorrow, and
still 16.
Marquette Villanova, and obviously the Michigan State game tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
Yes.
Is going to be so enjoyable. I mean, Villanova, I think, is done anyway, but they can beat Marquette. There's no doubt about it. But tomorrow, those games tomorrow are going to be a blast. I can't wait to see Michigan State, because I think Michigan's getting forgotten about a little bit here.
They are.
I feel
Michigan
like
State, too, even, I think, is kind of quiet. You don't really hear a lot
I've been
talking
pumping
about
them
them.
all year. I've been arguing with guys online. I keep telling everybody, oh, Fran Dunphy announces retirement. What a great coach at Temple and Penn. Coach Dunphy is one of the best coaches in the country for my money. He wanted Penn and he wanted Temple. Great job, Coach Dunphy. Incredible. NCAA tournament appearances over more than 2 seasons for the Explorers. Yep, he did a great job. UPenn, great coach, and then he just had a good run at Temple. It's good to see, and then obviously LaSalle, obviously last stop. But Coach Dunphy retiring, hate to see that. He was one of the real good coaches, and but it comes a time I think when you just get, it's just you get a little tired. But
Yeah, absolutely.
so tomorrow night, getting back to that. Sorry, I just saw that come across the wire. Michigan State is going to be a great game because Michigan's getting forgotten. The big kid Golden is tough. Uh, Coach can really coach. He's a really good coach. But Michigan State, though, is very tough. They got the two good bigs. They're very athletic. I think this is Izzo's best team since probably 2019. But we'll see. They got to the Final Four, I believe, in 2019 by beating Duke. When they had Zion and the boy, not Zion. Did they have Zion and the boys then? Yeah, I think they did.
Yep, they did. Yep.
So, they beat Duke in that good game. That the point guard was tough. But this is, I think, his best team since then. Now, that being said, they could obviously, Tom Izzo and opening rounds is pretty much money, except the one game we saw that year where I think we're at the game when they got basically Middle Tennessee State took them apart. I think it was actually we watched it on the scoreboard in another gym. But no, we had that game, Middle Tennessee. Was that up in New Jersey? Or was that we watching that game on a scoreboard in another gym?
We watched. Yeah, it wasn't. I think it was the
Yeah, Middle
scoreboard.
Tennessee took them up. But yeah, we saw Nova take apart Iowa, and Iowa was really good.
Yeah.
That's how you knew Nova was hot. But the funny thing is, I think Michigan State's gonna be tough. We're getting down to I think there's 4 games left now, pretty much in the ACC conference and the Big Ten conference now. So it's getting down to the nitty gritty.
And then
It's
Saturday,
gonna be great.
everyone plays Saturday.
Everyone plays Saturday. By the way, Mike McSloy, shout out again, just still undefeated in the
He's
in the
killing it.
landmark conference.
Yep. No, I
Getting it done.
followed the basketball page for them. Yeah. No, he's doing great.
Yep, he's doing great. He's doing a fantastic job. He's playing run and gun, running up and down. Mikey liked to shoot himself, as you might remember. So it's good to see that he's allowing his players to shoot a lot.
Yep.
So, but that's good. So we're big fans of that. And Rob Ismay's freshman recruits at Dartmouth are winning Rookie of the Weeks and things of that nature, picking up some awards. They still haven't gotten in that. They've won a couple games. They still got to get them to pick it up. But we get all those kids to come back, and I think they'll be solid. But so local shout out, Stony Brook's game tonight got canceled. So they canceled it down in Hampton. But a little snow down there in Virginia. Hofstra played tonight, so I believe they won. So neither of them looks like they're going to have a magical run, so to speak, when both of them last year, did a good job. Locally, like I said, so, St. John's is obviously the local flavor right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're really humming, and you see now that that fan base now is jazzed up. It's really fun to see now because
That's great. And you know what? It's
New York deserves to have good college basketball representation. There's no doubt about it because
sure.
we're the Mecca.
Think about it. I mean, how many New York teams are going to make it this year? Only St. John's, right?
That's really it looks like that, right?
Because the Cuse is a mess. Like,
I know Albany has made the tournament a couple times in recent years.
right. But what I'll tell you what, we have some serious coaching issues right now in some of these places. And again,
Yeah,
this is Red Autry, great player, good dude. Second year, and I tell you what, if you don't finish strong, the Cuse is going to take care of business there. You know it.
yeah.
And
Syracuse,
same thing.
we're so used to
And
seeing them in the tournament all those years with Jim Boeheim, but they
yeah, and
might
all
run
those
into a
years, those fans
situation
just
where
complained.
they might you hope they don't run into a situation where they wind up kind of like in Indiana where post Bob Knight they're just kind of looking for an identity.
Well, I think that, and people like I said, Fran McCaffrey. Well, all of a sudden you don't have the Murrays, and you don't have Garza, and now you're not winning. Well, maybe you're not anteing up all of a sudden, and now Iowa, and you now with the nil, you need more money to get those guys.
Right.
Now you don't get them, and the same thing at DePaul and Indiana and all these places. Like you got to ante up. I mean, who's to say who says Indiana should be that great this year? Like, who they have? All right, a couple of years ago they had the kid Davis, very solid, obviously excellent player, good, really good player, had a nice little run there. But at the same time, like, you're in the Big Ten now, which is 18 teams, like we said. It's not easy. They're not having a terrible year, but not good enough for some alum who doesn't understand that Assembly Hall hasn't really changed since like 1970.
No.
And the facilities matter today. They don't matter to me. I love the old gyms. I fantastically love them. But I guess to making money and things of that nature, it's even an argument at Duke now. Does Duke want to keep a stadium that's 8,000 seats? I mean, you're losing
Yeah,
money.
I know it's so tough to like we're such purists. We love the
Yeah,
old traditional
can you
type
when
of
you're
element of
taking the
college
ball
ball.
out at the side court, the Duke fan can reach you. Do you want
I
to take
know
that
it's
away? I
incredible.
say
No,
no.
I say no too.
I mean,
But
you're going to give away a home court advantage.
this is unfortunately the ugly side of capitalism is that, if you can make more money, you do. But that
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
should though, you know what I mean? Because you have a great situation. It's a Jeff
Well,
Goldblum quote in Jurassic Park. That's such a great quote. He's like, you didn't stop to think whether you could. You should have stopped to think if you should. It's so true.
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, look at the Carolinas talking about getting rid of their gym. I mean, this will be their second gym since Duke's only gym. They built the Dean Dome. First game was 86 between Duke and Carolina. They were ranked 1 and 3. And they got that they took the fans off the court because Carmichael, if you go back and watch an old game in Carmichael Auditorium, there's 4 flip scoreboards on the corner of each 4 corners of the court, and the fans literally are sitting next to the flip scoreboard. Matter of fact, some of the times the fans would mess with the scoreboard. Now, there, of course, there's the big scoreboard up top and on the sides, but it was just the fans were on the floor sitting like legs crossed. Then you made this Dean Smith Dome and it took the fans off the floor. To me, like, I don't know why when you build a new building, the fans have to come off the floor. Can't you keep like the Duke fans, when you're taking the ball out on the side of the court, they can touch you.
What I
That's what you
love,
want.
what I love about college basketball and Cameron, you turn a Duke game on, you could tell right away. You could tell right away it's a college game, though, even if you
You
had
know where you are.
blank. Yeah, exactly. I like that. In the NBA, it looks very corporate like. In college, I like the atmosphere of it's a college gym. You can tell that. And I think that's something that you don't want to miss. And Assembly Hall, Indiana has that feeling. Obviously, Cameron did what you're talking about, UNC, the situation they had before the Dean Dome had that. You want to keep that element of college basketball different than the NBA look. So, hopefully we're able to keep some of these traditional college, university stadiums and everything and whatnot and arenas because I think it's great for the
But
game.
yeah, it's something that's really exciting this weekend, and this went on for about 5 years, and now it stopped. I don't know if you remember Bracket Buster weekends
Of course,
where
yeah.
they used to make the mid majors cross over and play each other in some ways.
Yep.
So Illinois plays Duke Saturday night. I think
At
it's
the
the
Garden.
greatest idea.
At the Garden.
Yep, I think it's the greatest idea in the world because it gives you a fresh perspective. And I wish more coaches would do it. Back in the old days, in Duke in the mid '80s, I never forget this. Duke in the mid '80s had a hell of a weekend. They played Notre Dame and David Rivers, who was a great player, and Johnny Dawkins blocked him at the buzzer, and then they beat NC State the next day. I mean, they beat NC State first, and they beat Notre Dame the second day. They played Saturday, Sunday. Now today you'd never do that because of the rest, and I understand that. But these mid-level, these mid-league games, like when these teams have buys, they should make them play each other. So like whoever's got the bye in one conference has to play a major conference bye on that Saturday or Sunday. Or you got to do a coin flip, do something. Like you got to, because you know what? It's good for the game. And also, it takes away this net and Ken Palm bullshit where we're judging a game from November or December. I want to see it. All right, you think the Big Ten's better than the ACC? Well, all right, Illinois is not your best team, but let's find out how good they are.
I think what's good about it too, it's a nice little change of pace. It has a feeling of an exhibition game. You're not in league play. It kind of you can get I think a different feel for your team at this point in the year when it's not league play and conference play. So I think it is a great kind of cool look too. So it's something that on the schedule it certainly sticks out. Like it would be great, like you said, to have like a Kentucky play of Villanova at this point in the year. You know, you kind of have just, you throw a curveball out there. I think it's kind of a cool feel. So I think Duke and Illinois tomorrow at the Garden will certainly have that kind of, it's a party atmosphere element to it.
What do you think about the fact that, well, I know he's playing less minutes, but Luca and the Lakers lose to the Jazz and the Hornets. I mean, I kept telling everybody's like on these dumb websites, oh, the NBA Finals. I go, who's guarding you? Who's
I
guarding
think
who?
his kind of press conferences, the introductory ones, he kind of looked and sounded really depressed. He didn't sound like someone who's really excited to be on the Lakers right now.
Yeah,
It's
I don't think
I
he knew
think
it was coming.
mentally, I think he's kind of fucked up right now. I think Luka Doncic.
Yeah, I don't think he knew it was coming.
No.
And I think he is a little depressed because I think he was the man there, and now you go play with LeBron, and going to play
Yeah.
with LeBron is a pain in the ass. You
Yeah,
can ask
because
around.
your second fiddle, and let's be honest, after LeBron leaves that situation, it's not like the cupboard's rather bare there right now. Now, obviously, it's the Lakers and Rob Pelinka obviously being associated with them, with Jerry West and everything. You'll be able to hope if you're a Laker fan that they'll be able to continue that success. But I think
They
there's
will.
something wrong there. Also, you have to understand Dallas is not the same market as Los Angeles, so there'll be more expectations and more pressure on this guy now.
And more
Yeah,
distractions.
you have to factor that in as well. Yeah, like Kim Kardashian's already wanting to meet him and whatnot, so you have to deal with all that crap. But you had you think he was comfortable in Dallas. He was there for quite a while too. I think it was 6 seasons, 7 seasons he was there
Yep.
right now. So
Yep.
you have to change everything up, and there's going to be a lot of expectations, and it's going to be definitely, I think, he was comfortable in Dallas, and now you have you're out and naked now, essentially. You have a totally different situation now where it's going to be all different for him. So I think this year you see where you're at, but obviously with LeBron at his age right now, every year is gonna have like a must-win feel to it. So I don't know how they work this out. He definitely looks lost right now. But
Yeah.
hopefully, I mean, him and LeBron will obviously be able to figure out something out because they're just too talented. But
Yeah. But they're
I
both
think
ball dominant. That's the
exactly.
problem.
It's a square peg in a round hole. There's no doubt about it. Dallas, I think, short term gets the better end of the deal if Anthony Davis can stay healthy. But obviously, we know that that's
He's
like
hurt.
asking water not to be wet. So I don't
Yeah,
think,
he's hurt already.
yeah, that's something that's not going to
Now, what
happen.
do you think about this? What do you think about this? There's going to be a team in the NBA East that's 15, so 12 to 13 games under 500. That's
Yeah,
going to make the.
it's repulsive, honestly. It really is.
I mean, I like the playing idea, but some years, I mean, look at this crap. The Bulls are 22 and 33. The GM basically has given up. I want Billy Donovan to go to Virginia. That's what I want.
That would be a good
Get
fit.
him out of there.
Yeah.
Philadelphia 76ers are 20 and 35. They don't even give a crap. I mean, it's unbelievable. And then you look, the Lakers are the 5 seed. I mean, Houston Rockets are the year's best story. If coach doesn't win, coach of the year.
Oh
If
God.
Udoka doesn't win,
Yeah.
coach of the year.
No
I
one
mean,
saw that coming, right? Yeah.
when they had a good little run last year, but obviously in the 4-5, the Rockets and the Lakers will be there. And then obviously the winner will play the Thunder. And the Thunder, I'm still going to have to earn it. It's good to see the Grizzlies are back a little bit. Grizzlies and the Nugs tied for second seed. The bottom line is, the Timberwolves are at the 7th seed, and it's just scary. Like looking around here, Cleveland's going to cruise to that 1 seed. Celtics are 5.5 back. Knicks are pretty much locked in at the 3 seed, so they're going to have to place the Celtics in the second round if they get past the Pistons, which they should. But the Pistons are not easy. So it's fun to watch right now. The Cleveland is just very hot. And it's fun to see all this. And Cleveland's Thunder's playing 8-15, Cleveland's playing 8-18. All great stuff. So interesting to see. But I also want to remind, as I reminded a Steph Curry fan today, and I love Steph Curry. He's one of my favorite players. But to talk about him being the best point guard of all time, I'd like to ask any Steph Curry fans out there, when did Magic have to get in the play-in?
Right.
Yeah, there was no
5 rings
play.
too, 5 championships. You
And
have to
everybody goes, well, he had Kareem. Well, how about after Kareem left? Magic going to play-in? There was no play-in. We had to earn it, and Magic still got like the one of the
And
two
as much
seed.
as I like Steph Curry, he's not doing what Magic did against the
No,
76ers as a rookie. There's just no
no,
way.
no. Plus, he just if he's not hitting his shot,
He could still
look at the
dominate the game. He could still dominate.
first two
Right.
first two games of the Olympics. What did Steph Curry do? I mean, again, great player, but everybody gets qualified by, well, he's exciting. Well, that doesn't mean you're the best just because you're the most exciting.
Yeah.
I can go to the park and chuck up 40 footers. That's exciting, but it really isn't if days are not going in. So, the fact that he made the All-Star team again this year, but that's a story for another day. But the Phoenix Suns right now are going to miss the playoffs with that team. Can you imagine this shit?
Yeah, there's something really. I mean, yeah, Bradley Beal, I think, is just that's totally washed at this point, and the rest of the team is just hollowed out. So, and
And the
Devin Booker
Spurs
and
made this
Kevin
trade.
Durant, like you said, they're too much of the same. Too much of the same. They're top three guys, and that's obviously not translating well.
Terrible. The Spurs made this trade and went 3-7.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
It's very
like, what the hell's
bizarre.
going on there?
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
I hate to say it though. It'll be really fun to watch Pop. It's time for him to go.
Yeah, I
I'm
think
sorry,
it's
dude.
also
I'm
time.
sorry. You're 3-7 after getting Fox and those guys. Come on, dude. Stop.
Yeah,
Gotta
this.
play it. He might feel like Larry Brown, like is like my way. Great, your way works with great players, like anybody else's way works. All right, so let's calm down there.
Yeah, Tim Duncan and
Cooper,
David Robinson. It would have been hard to lose with any coach on that.
did you see the Gilbert Arenas quotes about Cooper Flag?
Yeah, he thinks he'd be better off as like kind of playing like what we talked about Kevin Durant as the guy who's kind of like the second guy blending into the background. He can kind of be his best version of himself like that. I agree with Gilbert Arenas. I think he makes a good point there. Kevin
Yeah,
Durant, he thinks that he has to become a better one-on-one player. I know you talked about that as well with.
yeah, he's not great going to the rack like against a good defender. I would say that depending on who you are, Ace Bailey could also be the number one pick. Now, I'm not saying he's better, but depending on what you need, if you need a guy who's just going to go get you 25 a night, that's Ace Bailey. That's not Cooper Flag.
Right.
Cooper Flag's going T-Mac. He's doing T-Mac. He's doing Grand Hill stuff.
Yeah,
He's
but
getting you 20. He's getting you 22, 7, and 7.
yeah, he's a very mature player. He makes some great cross-court passes. He's just a guy who thinks the game too.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Gets his hand on everything. He's going to be a stat sheet stuffer, as they say. If you want a guy, if you're in a need of a bucket, I hate to say it, Ace Bailey's the guy. But if you're a guy who wants the all-around player, it depends what you need, and that's why people go, well, who's better? There is no who's better.
yeah,
I
it
said to
depends.
someone today.
It depends on what your need is and want.
Yeah,
Yep.
so what is your need and what is your style of play and what do you have?
Right. Yeah, it's so
Like,
true.
what do you have now? So, like, if you were the Knicks and somehow you got the one pick, I would take Ace Bailey because you need a guy who just gets you a fucking bucket.
Right.
But if you're a
Great
guy,
point.
if you're a guy who wants to make people better because your team around you sucks, if you're the Wizards, I'd take Cooper Flag.
Right. Yeah, it depends on who has the draft pick and where do you want to do in free agency. It's so many different factors.
Don't look now, but USC has crawled back in this game at Maryland. They're down 7. But so the NBA is getting interesting now. So we'll be down the stretch. They're at the 55
Absolutely.
way mark.
Yep, when
They're
we
at
get to
about,
when we get to close to, we're deciding who's getting in the playoffs and everything and playing games, we'll definitely be watching and covering those, no doubt.
yep, it's gonna be good. Looking forward to it.
All right, Uncle Dave, we'll sign off here.
Yes, sir.
All right, all you basketball fans out there, live long and prosper, and may the force be with you.
Yes, sir.